Welcome to the G5 Hive and our next installment of our Worker Bee series, where we deep dive into the G5 college football landscape with the folks that know the teams the best. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening on podcast form, please rate and review. Today, we'll be taking a look at the Kennesaw State Owls, who finished 3-6 last season in the FCS. This year, they made the move up to the FBS and joined Conference USA. They wrapped up their 2024 spring practice with their spring game on April 19th. We have a special guest joining us today. He is a sports copy editor for the Kennesaw State Sentinel, co-host of the Owl Chat podcast, sports correspondent for the Marietta Daily Journal, and an Atlantic Sun and Conference USA hoops guy. He is Kai Millette. Kai can be found at Owl Chat podcast on X. Welcome to the show, Kai.
Thanks so much for having me, man. That was a sweet intro.
All right. Let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. How would you describe this defense in terms of scheme and personnel, maybe, to folks that haven't seen it before?
Well, it's also kind of an unknown. We lost our defensive coordinator, Nate Burton, last year to Troy. So we replaced him with Greg Harris, who was our linebackers coach, who was just promoted internally. It's kind of an unknown. The secondary did some good things last year. Our pass rush was not very good. Linebackers are young. It's inexperienced, somewhat on the front seven. There are some good things. They kept us in a lot of games last year. And I think we are really excited about the secondary. But up front, there are questions for sure.
So speaking about those guys up front, did anyone kind of stand out in the spring, or who do you think needs to step up the most here in fall camp?
I think the guy this year is going to be Puda Walker. He had a really, really nice year last year, big number 99. He was a D2 transfer guy. So he's a grinder. Big fan of what he did last year. Seems like a great kid. Not to spoil who my breakout player is going to be, but that's who it's going to be.
All right. Let's move over to the linebacking group. They returned their leading tackler from a year ago, Jalen Barnum, as well as the third leading tackler, and Donelius Johnson. How did the linebackers look in the spring, and did anyone stand out for them?
You got about what you expected. Both those guys are going to, fill up the stat sheet, record a lot of tackles. But that was, I guess, one of our weaker units last year. It's good to have those guys back, but in particular, I couldn't tell you.
All right. Let's move back to what you said was the strength of this defense. You felt like the defensive backfield. They did lose DeAndre Morris to Georgia Southern, and Markeith Montgomery graduated. But they do have a room with some game experience. They added Quay McCoy from UL Monroe and Christopher Townsend from USF, who comes in after the spring. But what should we expect from this defensive backfield here in 2024?
The theme the last couple of years has been a lot of interceptions. We have a bunch of ball hawks. Losing Markeith Montgomery and also DeAndre hurts. We also lost Chance Gamble, who was one of the guys who redshirted last year. He also followed Morris to Southern. So that does hurt, but Sidney Porter had a really nice year last year. He's also a transfer from a lower level, and it's just been a consistent unit for us for the last couple of years. I think we're going to be just fine there.
All right. Well, you already spilled this next question, so I'm going to ask it in a little bit of a different way. So you mentioned that Puda Walker was going to be your breakout player here for this defense in 2024. What about him makes you think he's going to have a breakout season, and what does he kind of bring to that defensive line that might be different from others?
I think it's all about the grind. Like I said, I've got a bit of a soft spot for guys who came out of D2. I think he went to West Florida, came in and just immediately impressed. Real big dude. He's a leader. I think he embodies everything about our program. The whole motto is EAT, which stands for effort, attitude, toughness. And I think he's, the perfect representation of that. I think he's going to have a big year statistically, filling up that D line.
If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening to in podcast form, please rate and review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Thank you all for your support. And until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.